Hey, everybody. Nice to have you back here with us on the channel. It's always fun. As you know, I mean, I feel like I was just here yesterday a few times, but back at it again. And tonight we've got a fun interview with a art collector, writer, photographer, you name it. This guy has documented pop culture and has even written a book. I got a copy of it in Columbus this last August because I met Sam for the first time there. He dropped by at that art get together that we had when we went to the Marvel exhibit, and got to go to the Billy Ireland Museum. So it was fun getting to meet him. I got a personalized copy of his book. You can get these at Amazon. It's in the link in the description right below too. So anybody who's interested, it's a fun read. I've probably, and it's an easy read. I bet you I've read every chapter in this thing at least twice, maybe 3 times. I mean, it's just, I come across something, I think I haven't read it, and then I read through it again because there's a lot of great historical information in here related to early fandom and a lot of great photographs. I know that, we're going to see a lot of photographs tonight when we interview Sam, but he's probably got boxes and boxes more that didn't make it into the book and we're not going to look at tonight. But there's a lot of good stuff here. So let me bring Sam into the chat and welcome him to the show. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hello out there in television land. How are you?
We are all doing well, Sam. And for those of you, I don't. Well, some of the people in the chat probably ended up making it to our meetup in August as well. But it was a fun time. I mean, there was a lot more collectors at that show than I was expecting. I was thinking if I got 20, 25, I'd be happy. And we ended up closer to 40, 45 people showing up. So it was a good time.
And I was taking pictures there.
That's right. You did send me some photographs afterwards. I used that on the CAF update. And look, Anthony Snyder's here, and he was at the show. So there, I knew somebody had to be here that was with us in Columbus. Great. So, Sam, like I mentioned, you wrote the book. It's called Tripping Through Pop Culture. And I literally have, because it's like, did I read that section already? And I'll start reading through it again. And everything's just a good, fast read because everything's really from your perspective, and you're meeting with people, and you don't really pull any punches with regards to, did you enjoy the conversation with them? Did you not? Were they pleasant? Were they rude? You just pretty much tell it like it is. Like any fan, probably, walks away from experiences with people who are celebrities one way or another, or, artists, creators, those sorts of things. You pretty much wrote it as you experienced it. And I thought that that's really what's most fun about this book, is just getting that first person experience of, with your time going out and, beating the trail, whether it was going to a con or in many cases, you went to a lot of shows, plays, those sorts of things. And so you got to meet a lot of the actors and actresses who, were really well known in film and stage. And you got around.
Howard Chaykin says I'm like Zelig in that movie with Woody Allen.
Yeah, I've had Howard on the show a few times, probably 4 times. I know we're going to see a photograph of a young Howard.
Very young.
Yeah, and that's fun though. I mean, so you've known Howard for a while?
Yeah, in fact, I saw him again this past December. He was at GalaxyCon in Columbus.
So that's right, he was, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
Did he remember you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he always walks up and greets me, and I was with a group of fans many years ago, and he come up and remember my name and introduced himself, and my friends were like, he actually came up and talked to you and knew your name. And I said, oh yeah, I've known Howard for 50 years, which is no exaggeration.
Right. I mean, because you go back to the, even pre-Creation Con types of, events and fandom, or because that was my first convention experience, was a Creation Con, I think in, I'll say 78, right? I still have the program. It was in Cleveland, and those were a lot of fun. And when I look at your photographs, it's pretty much what I remember.
The very first convention I went to was in 1972. I was all of 17 years old, and it was PulpCon #1, which was held in St. Louis. And darned if last year they had a 60-year reunion of that first convention. And you talk about feeling old, But and the guest of honor there was the great writer Edmund Hamilton, who wrote so many great comic book stories and science fiction stories. And I was just lucky I had enough sense to ask for his autograph at the time. So it's my treasured possessions.
Oh, that's amazing. So was it a good turnout for a 60th anniversary show?
Well, there's a few of us that a couple of us had to be disinterred to make it there, but but I just left bummed out. I just felt so freaking old, But excuse me, it was the 50th anniversary. I said 60th,
You
but
do said, well, that's why I was a
yeah,
little thinking there had to be
yeah,
not many people there, but if 50th makes a lot of sense. But still, there
right.
had to have been plenty of people there that were older than you. So,
That's right. It was my first exposure to fandom, and uh, I hit the trail since.
well, that's amazing. Well, give us a bit of the backstory on what. Again, if I kind of know a bit about it from reading the book, but what got you interested in I guess early fandom? Really before there was anything like that. I mean, what were some of your
Well,
first
I'd always
experiences?
been a comic book reader since the early
Uh-huh.
'60s. I mean, I am very old. I'm 68, and I read comics steadily from the early '60s until today. Now, I grew up in I'm like Abe Lincoln here now. I grew up in a very small town in southern Illinois, but the only advantage to that was just across the river, about 6 or 8 miles away, was St. Louis, which was a big city.
Hmm.
But at that time, I was early in my life. I might as well been on another planet. But I started reading comics, and at that time, that's what everybody did. What they didn't do was later in life keep reading them after a certain age. When you got to be 13, 14, 15, we're still reading comics. Society placed an invisible dunce cap on your head. And you were in the word nerd wasn't around yet, but you were something worse than that.
You
And
knew you were an outcast, and
you
to a
were an
certain degree.
outcast. And if you like science fiction, your parents laid awake at night and worried about you. They thought it was going to become of you if you were mental deficient or what. But in the mid '60s, you kind of got validated when the Batman TV series came on, because that kind of made comics cool for a lot of people. And I remember looking at my sister's teen mags, like they showed the rock stars reading comics in their dressing room and things like that. So that kind of made it a little on the cooler side. Um, Speaking of Batman, I later in life I became good friends with actress Ann Rutherford, whose husband was Bill Dozier, who produced the series. And
Wow.
she knew I liked comics, and she used to love to tell me the story about her and Bill being in the first class cabin on a plane, flying from Hollywood to New York, where Bill was going to pitch the Batman show to the network there. And during the flight, he gets his briefcase out and pulls out a stack of comics and starts reading them on the plane. And Anne would always laugh that the flight attendant came over and gave her a look like, "Oh, you poor thing, you with a grown man that reads comics." So she always got a kick telling me that story. But I digress a little bit there. But as I read more comics and the creators became more well known, I noticed people like Julie Shorts would mention, like Gardner Fox, or Mort Weisinger would mention his writer, Edmund Hamilton. I would see their novels on the spinner rack next to the comic spinner rack.
Hmm.
So I started reading them, and I got hooked on science fiction as well as comics. But and I was also a great big movie fan. Back in those days, you literally had to watch the late show to watch a classic film. It's not like you can't stream them, couldn't stream them or get a DVD. So I became very interested in film. I started writing to film celebrities for their autographs, and a lot of people responded. I mean, I wrote to Cagney and Joan Crawford and Betty Davis, and they all answered me. So I was just fascinated with all these areas of pop culture, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I was able at age 17. The next town over was a lot larger than the place I lived. It was kind of like comparing Hooterville to Pixley, but they had a daily paper, and I wrangled to become the television editor there. Television editor, haha. But what it allowed me to do was to write about pop culture and to interview a lot of these celebrities when they would come through St. Louis for a promotional tour, or were appearing at a local Playhouse. You know, back then dinner theater was big, so all these, I won't even call them second bananas, but third and fourth bananas from a lot of these TV series would come and do a play, and I would go and interview them. And it was really great training for me because it taught me how to talk to people and ask questions
Right.
and be professional. And I was the only 18-year-old, I think, to have a Hollywood Rolodex. I mean, I had publicist phone numbers, and some movie star, some of the stars that came through became friends with me. We kept in touch, so I had all this information on my Rolodex. So, but as a result of that, I became friends with several publicists at 20th Century Fox, and they knew I was interested in science fiction and the Planet of the Apes film. And they said, Sam, why don't you come to Los Angeles and we'll make you up as an ape, and then we'll let you be an extra in one of the films. So I thought, oh, that would be fantastic. So I went to Hollywood. The day I was there, they weren't having a call for apes. I was a human mutant. And this was for Battle for the Planet of the Apes. And I got to spend the whole day on the set and talk to all the stars and get interviews. And it was, yeah, there it is, believe it or not. So there I am with Roddy McDowell. So it was, I was making Hollywood contacts, boy.
Definitely. Yeah, this was an interesting read for the, in the section of the book. But yeah, that had to be a lot of fun. So how old are you here?
I am 18. All of 18. Because I turned 18 the October before, and this was in January.
Wow. Well, that had to be a lot of fun. I mean, was that your first trip to LA?
It was. It was. And, they had me come out. Oh, I mean, those guys, they knew how to charm people. They had me come out to the studio, and they took me around, and MASH was filming then, and Room 222. And they took me to lunch in the commissary where I saw all the actors in there. So they knew they had a live one with me there. So, but you know what? They were so charming to me. I was some little podunk paper, but they treated me like I was from Time magazine. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet and were very, very kind to me. So never forgotten that.
Oh, that's great. But being the editor got you into a lot of interesting opportunities to meet different actors, actresses, and I mean those are memories that you can't get rid of. But the thing is, what was the idea? You were writing obviously a lot, but you were doing a lot of photography too. I mean, you really documented a lot of these experiences, whether you were in the picture with the person you were getting to see.
Yeah, if I interviewed a celebrity, if I took a picture of them, I got paid more. So I was going to take pictures. Necessity was the mother of invention there.
I thought, wasn't that one of the things you had written about was sometimes you would get the pictures developed the night before to try to get them to sign them or those sorts of things by going there back on the second day. So you were really hustling in order
I was hustling.
Get that stuff done.
One of my favorite expressions is nothing good in your life just falls in your lap. You have to go out and make it happen. So, I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I want to write a book. And I say, well, I tell you what, I'll help you. Do an outline and we'll go from there. And I never see any outlines. So, but
yeah,
to continue with the Planet of the Apes connection, when Marvel started their black and white line and they did a Planet of the Apes magazine, I thought, well, who was better to write for this than I, after being on the set and all these interviews. So I sent them a story completely on spec. And about 2 weeks later, I get a letter in my mailbox from Tony Isabella, who's working at Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Goes, I liked your story. We're going to use it in the word that was music to my ears. Please send us more. So I began writing for that magazine. Then I started writing for Savage Sword of Conan. And I started writing for Starlog. I did a ton of work for Starlog. And I got to go to a lot of movie sets and interview a lot of very interesting people. And I wrote for Fangoria and, any genre magazine, I tried to get a foothold in. I mean, that was the glory days of all those film magazines.
Absolutely. I mean, I bought Fangoria. I mean, I was a regular reader, so I'm sure I was
Yeah.
reading your articles and not obviously not knowing it. But have you ever thought about like pulling all those old articles together, with the photographs that you might have taken and doing something with that? I mean, because that would be very different than the book you've already put together.
Well, I really don't have the copyright to the articles themselves,
Oh, that's too
but
bad.
yeah, but there's kind of ways around that. You can kind of paraphrase them or rewrite them and add something to it, because sometimes things got edited out and
Hmm.
it wasn't as complete as I sent it. But I mean, it was a great boom time for me, and I started pitching pop culture ideas to mainstream magazines. Like uh, when Jeanette Kahn became the new publisher at DC, I reached out to 17 magazine, and they were very enthusiastic about me doing a story about her. So, I found out where a lot of these comic artists and writers lived, and I would go to their hometown papers and pitch story ideas. And that was back in the day where they would accept a lot of freelance material. Now
Hmm.
things are almost 100% staff written, but I try to be a little faster and smarter and try to make things happen.
Yeah, Marcus had a question for you when you were mentioning the writing for the Planet of the Apes. They didn't want outlines. They just said send us complete stories, and they ran with it.
Well, to be honest, those articles are generally an afterthought. I mean, they were more concerned with getting the book out on time, and the uh, the uh, the fiction stories, the comics, the strips, and I would send them a whole list of ideas, and they say, "Yeah, that one sounds good," and
So
I
you were pitching them concepts and then
always
running with it.
pitching,
Okay.
yeah, always pitching, yeah. So, so that was
Well, hey, Craig.
a lot of times,
You mentioned Craig might drop by. So Craig,
yes, yeah, a
nice to have him
genius,
here.
genius artist.
We're gonna
So I
see some of his art tonight too.
Now where life really took a turn for me is, I was doing all this writing for Marvel, and I wanted to be part of it all.
Hmm.
I've been a fan of Marvel's for so many years. I wanted to go to my first convention, which was the 1975 Creation Con in New York, and that was my very first big convention and my very first trip to New York. And thinking back on it now, I must have looked like somebody that came in with a suitcase with a rope tied around it and a balloon on a stick, but uh, I managed to make it through Manhattan anyway. And I remember I could not stay at the hotel the conventions at was at the Commodore Hotel because rooms were $32 a night. Wow, who could afford that in New York?
Right.
So, so I went to this first convention. Yeah, there we go. This Von Baudet, and
Yeah, very distinctive look on Vaughn. I remember. I think he even had a couple different, at least one other different photograph of him in the book.
yeah,
But
painfully shy. I mean, when I asked if I
yeah,
could please take his picture, I mean, he turned 3 shades of crimson.
yeah. No, I've read that about him. But phenomenal independent artist, indie artist, underground artist, whatever you want to kind of classify him as. But people really appreciate his work even today. Obviously, he was
Oh, yeah,
groundbreaking.
absolutely. He's an icon.
Hmm. So that was at Creation Con, and then so was the Marvel Con not too long after that.
Yes, just shortly thereafter, a few months after. But this Creation Con is where I had my first introduction to original art. And in where I grew up, I never saw a piece of original art in my life until this convention. And it was everywhere. I mean, there were piles and piles of it. Good art too. And I purchased my first 4 or 5 pages there, which I have until this day. And it
What
was,
were they? Are we going to look at some of them today, or
we are going to look at some of them. I mean,
okay,
the bug bit me, and
right from the start? That's
right from
great.
the start. So I I bought those pages and rolled them up and flew home with them. And from then on, I started seeking out original art, which back in the pre-interweb, and we didn't have any Google machines back then. It was harder to do.
You've unrolled them since then, right? When you got them home, you flatten them out,
I flattened them out. Yeah. Well, you know what? They were nice. I loved them, but they weren't
Yep.
like they considered now. They weren't considered fine art. They were more like, to me, like souvenirs.
Right. Oh, sure. I mean, that was, I mean, this at 75. Yeah, there weren't too many art dealers out there at that point in time. You were just buying direct from the artists, I'm sure.
Well, no, I was buying from a dealer.
Oh, where you
Uh,
were? Who? Do you
yeah,
or do you remember who?
I don't. I submitted a picture to you, Bill, the one with the Kill Raven cover. If
Oh,
anybody out
right.
there knows who that gentleman is on the right, I would sure love to know because that's the man I purchased my first few pages of art from. Like they
Um,
probably took the picture right after I gave him my money.
I want to get through. I know there was where was that?
Keep going.
Yep,
There it is.
one right here.
Yeah, from that gentleman on the right with the hat. If anybody knows who he is, I would love to know.
Well, there you go. It's a challenge to all of you in the chat, and there's bound to be someone who recognizes
Who is that man?
who is this guy. Because clearly I could see Prince Valiant on the wall behind him. I mean, he was dealing in some. There's a little Nemo behind the Killraven art.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some some very valuable pieces there. I mean,
I bought my Jack Kirby page from him.
Oh, wow.
So that was, the bug had me then.
All right. Well, we'll see if anybody remembers.
But I'll tell you the most memorable, the greatest memory I have from that convention is I came to that convention knowing absolutely no one there or in New York. And I struck up a conversation with Joe Sinnott. And he did a quick little Dr. Doom sketch for me. We got to talking and, we got along really well. So I went to my room, my hotel, and came back the next day. And God bless him, Joe comes running up to me and says, Sam, where did you go last night? We went out for pizza. We wanted you to go with us. And I'm flabbergasted that he would care about me that much to do that, show me that kindness. And then he reaches in his portfolio and pulls out this Dr. Doom sketch. And he says, I know you like Dr. Doom, so I did this for you last night. Now, yeah, there it is there. And I mean, how kind is that? What a great man he was.
Oh, without question. I mean, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, right?
I mean, to be that thoughtful, I mean, that's the memory I carry away from that convention. There it is.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Joe was he was sharp talent wise. I mean, till the day he passed, right? I mean, he was making great artwork right up until that day. I mean, and you look at this and it's like he could have done this in 2010, or anything. It's just absolutely. He was so consistent.
And we kept in touch over the years. His son Mark was with him there, who was all of 12 or 13 years old, and now he's a grown man. And just time goes by so fast.
That's very true. Mr. Redjack says, pizza and Dr. Doom, who could ask for anything more?
Hey, gotta love it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, that's a great experience. And, at that point, I mean, this is about the beginning of when the creators were really starting to feel that, they were celebrated at different levels, right? I mean, where they, maybe before that they didn't, but the cons kind of introduced them to the fans. And so this
it was such an exciting time in comics then. You had Chaykin and Kaluta all in their prime, and, Bernie Wrightson and Alan Weiss and all these Starlin, all these great talents all working at the same time.
Oh yeah, and you have I mean, there's lots of photos to look at here. I might as well just thumb through a couple of them here. So
Esposito, yeah, there he is.
Yep, with plenty of art in front of him.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So how many photos do you think you have from the shows that you went out to? I mean, I know you sent me several where there was art in them, but you must have taken a lot more photos
from those two conventions, that Creation Con, the Marvel Con, probably several hundred.
Wow.
And you got to consider back then, Bill, I didn't just hold my camera up and take a picture. I had to bring 2 cameras, a flash unit, a battery pack. I mean, it was like the old movies. You were lugged down with equipment. And then, of course, being in New York, you kind of had to keep one eye on it at all times. But, you did what you did at the time.
Yeah. And I like his Spider-Man tie too. I saw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to love it.
Classic.
And this is from the Marvel Con. This is the room Jack Kirby had where he had his art on display and was selling prints.
Very cool.
There's Bernie.
Bernie Wright's in there too. Wow. Yeah, I've seen a lot of period photographs from him in the early 70s too, and just in front of his art, whether it was at a gallery show or whatnot, and it's always just amazing, the size of the work that he did, and then and just how prolific he was back at this time.
An incredible talent.
Yeah. And let's see, where was another one here? I know Len Wein signing a piece of art. I think I see Angel on there.
He is autographing a piece of art for the Giant Size X-Men #1.
Oh, really?
Yes. I remember looking at it as he was signing it.
That's funny. Yeah, it does look like, yes. Well, of course, now I know the page well now.
Yeah.
Everybody else does too with that last panel.
That's it.
Right where he signed. That's awesome. Yeah, I think we could go look up that one on Heritage. Let's see. I know I skipped over a couple of photos. That's all the way back down to your book. Where was? Oh, there we go. Because I saw this one. I mean, it looks like. I mean, that looks like Neil Adams' sideburn there. I mean, that looks like Dave Cockrum right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who else is at the table, but again, that's
Len Wein in the plaid shirt standing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How could I miss? Well, that's why he's standing next to Cockrum. Makes a lot of sense. There you go. Wow. And this is, this is the way I remember Creation Cons, was just, those hotel ballrooms with these sconces and the bad wallpaper.
Hey, that was cool back in the 70s.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep, exactly. They do. And that's Mr. Red Jake says fantastic. He took all the pictures, so that we can appreciate it now. It's funny because so many people are going to these shows, and I mean, probably most of them didn't think to take photographs, right? I mean, the early shows that I went to, I certainly didn't.
Well, if they did, a lot of them were like Instamatic photos, and they faded through the years. And
that guy right there is Cockrum.
Yep. That is
Dave.
he.
Yep. Very young Dave Cockrum there. So yeah, that's awesome. And it looks like everybody's sketching or signing or whatnot.
Oh, everybody was very accessible, and the fans were very polite. They gave them their space and didn't try to bulldoze their way through. Everybody was, even for New York, people from New York are going to hate me. Another New York gig. They were very polite.
Yeah, but this is cool. And there was let's see, I think there's some art in the background there. Kid Colt cover.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like a Conan illustration. And lots of very valuable comics on the wall there.
Yeah, very valuable.
Let's see. Here you go. Another Espo, right. Senate.
And on the left, there's somebody you rarely see a picture of, Frank Giacoia.
I was going to ask you who that is, because it looks familiar, but I didn't realize that's Frank Giacoia. Wow.
And what the pad he's holding, he's doing a Captain America drawing for me.
And he's got a Spider-Man tie on as well.
He said, I got to hold this close to my chest if people see me doing this, so I'll want one.
Oh, man. And let's see. Somebody in the back looks like they're holding some original art as well.
Yeah, good catch, Bill.
Yeah. That's cool. And then, I'm assuming that the display is from Super Snipe, which, it's funny because, Super Snipe was really, the big art gallery for comic art. and comics and whatnot. And you see a lot of photos of the outside of the building from there, but this is cool. I mean, to actually see some art that they had on display at the show. Because again, it's just you read a lot about the history of Super Snipe, but I haven't seen a whole lot of photos from inside or anything that was ever on display. You just hear the stories about what artwork they had and what changed hands and those sorts of things. So I thought this was a pretty cool photograph.
Now that black and white LO in the upper left, that's a Carl Barks page.
Oh, wow. And is there a name tag on that dealer? Which one? Which one? I don't know. Which one was that, Rich? Rick Welch says there's a Savage Sword of Conan #2 cover. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. I mean, because didn't Super Snipe had a gallery across the street from their shop, and I know that they had done a Neil Adams Conan cover exhibit at some point. There's a video on YouTube if you Google it. I think I've actually got it like saved over on the Comic Art Live channel's page, but it's cool. It was for like a news report from the late 70s, and so they were walking through the museum, and you got to see some of Neil's artwork. Very interesting stuff.
I believe that's a Steranko, the lady on the upper between the Barks and the Neil Adams.
Yeah, definitely has that kind of style to it. No, yep, it is. At least you got it. That's the thing is just being able to see this stuff is incredible.
Yeah. Art like that was just plentiful. I can't emphasize enough. I mean, many dealers' tables just have piles of it.
Let's see, and then there you go.
Ah, there he is.
There's Howard Chaykin, everybody. A young Howard Chaykin, top button undone. And look at the collars on him, man. That's yeah.
I wish I could tell you what he said to me when he saw this picture, but it would get you off the air.
I should show this to him the next time I've got him on. You don't mind if I do you, Sam?
No, gosh, no. I'll tell you in private, Bill.
All right, because I did that to him the first time I interviewed him. There was Carl Potts had sent me a photograph of Howard at a gallery opening in New York, and I knew it wasn't like it was unflattering, but it had he was dressed in a suit and tie, looking rather dapper, but it had his wife, had one of his first wife, or maybe his first wife. He goes, "That's the first of my 3 exes. Thanks for the memory," kind of thing. I showed it to him, but that's Howard for you.
I'll tell you something about Mr. Howard Chaykin. He has this persona of being so gruff, and he's the biggest Mr. Softy around. I mean, when I talked to him about doing my book, he could not have been nicer. He says, "Sam, I'll be glad to do the forward for you. And, I encourage you. That's a wonderful idea." And I mean, he could not have been any nicer.
And that is true. I should have mentioned that Howard did write the forward to the Tripping Through Pop Culture book. And I thought it was, really nice. I mean, he's, Howard is very well-spoken, that's for sure. But I don't think he would do that for just anybody.
No, he's a terrific human being.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think I will present this to him next time I've got him on the show.
You go right ahead.
And then, hey, look, there's Anthony Snyder's John Romita Sr. art sitting there. That guy's either pointing at or whatnot. That's funny, but posters were a big thing back in the day, everybody.
Oh, yes, they were.
When I was buying my comics in the late 70s, I mean, you almost always had to walk away with a poster of some kind because they were just all over the place. But look, back in the day, comic bags, $3 per 100. That's a steal.
They were probably those kinds that turned yellow right away, too.
They probably were. Oh, man. There was
Chuck Arnold wins the prize for hitting the Howard Chaykin. Give that man $50 silver.
See, well, Chuck has probably heard that from Howard a few times. Yeah, Howard's not bashful. Is it a pie neck chain? I don't know. Maybe it was. But here's a question for you. Mr. Redjack said, were you ever approached about doing a retrospective of your photos at any museums or shows? I mean, because again, a lot of these should be preserved. I mean, it'd be terrible, Sam, if they weren't archived somewhere where we
Well,
could
no,
appreciate
I
them
have
long
not,
term.
and that's kind of a bugaboo because all these books and magazines that are being put out about comics history, oftentimes I volunteered as if you want to use any of my pictures, you can use them free. Just give me credit. No one ever contacts me, and I kind of quit doing that because I felt like I was the voice in the dark there, and it kind of irks me. But you know what? The editors are free to do what they want to do, and maybe they're
Yeah, that's
not
odd.
as important to them as they are to me. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's when you go back and look for photographs from this period, I mean, you typically run across the same ones, from different shows, like a Barry Windsor Smith photo at a different con. It's just like you kind of always see the same old ones. So, I mean, the fact that you're probably sitting on hundreds of photos from the 70s into the 80s or thousands, it's unfortunate that nobody, would want to, reprint them in some form or fashion when
No.
they're trying to write a historical article about our hobby.
Now, some publishers have taken advantage of it, and that even that 3-part series that was done for AMC about the history of the comics, they used a couple of my pictures, and I was really proud of that. And that's one of the reasons I wrote my book. I had a lot of material I wanted to share with the world, and it's not really a great outlet to do it. And I thought, well, here's my chance.
Well, like I said, I really enjoyed the book in the photographs that were in there, and I knew, like Comic Art Boston said, if you ever did a Kickstarter for something like this, the reception would be pretty excellent. That's true.
That's a great idea, Comic Art Boston. Thank you for that. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a fun project. I'd work on it with you, Sam. I mean, honestly, that would be something I'd actually
thank
enjoy
you. Let's
getting behind.
put our heads together about that.
Okay, I will. There's actually been some interesting conversations on the publishing side of things related to the work that we've been doing. So I think that there's actually some potential there. I would love to, absolutely love to. I think that it needs to be seen, especially with other people overlooking them for so long. Let's see. I know we've got. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Now that's one. That's an early cosplay right there.
It is. That's from one of the 1970s Chicago Comic-Con, which was a great institution.
Yeah.
How many times do you see a color picture from an early Comic-Con like that?
Not hardly ever. Yeah, that's well, everybody definitely wants to see more photos. So no, I think there's something here, Sam. We should definitely consider it.
Or let's do a picture night here.
Yeah, we could do that. Definitely. Well, I think you might sell a few signed books if we put them all together, though.
All right.
And look at this. How often you don't see John Byrne at a show? Well, we haven't seen him at a show in many years. 15, 20 years probably. It's been a long time. I mean, he used to do the Mid Ohio shows, but this is certainly an early one. I mean, there's the Charlton's Group logo behind him. I mean, what was that? His what book was he doing for Charlton?
Probably E-Man.
E-Man, yeah. Didn't he do like Space 1999 too? Or, I don't know if that was a Charlton.
I think that came later, and I think that was done by continuity, but
okay,
I could be wrong.
Interesting, but E-Man definitely.
I remember very distinctly Byrne being there, and he was in the big room with the Marvel and DC artists, and he was just kind of sitting there by himself. And I remember he had a stack of art with him. It was a fantastic 4-story he had done on spec. And I remember I overheard him talking to one of the editors at Marvel, and they couldn't use it because they had changed the FF lineup and it didn't reflect the characters he was using. So he would have had to either redrawn those characters or I wonder if he still has that art or if whatever happened to it, because it was like a complete
It's out
story.
there. Yeah, it's definitely out there. I remember that you can find, I think, a few pieces on CAF from that spec FF work. And Yeah, there you go. Doomsday Plus One. Space 1999 was a Charlton. Rick Welch says. Somebody wants John's name tag. Yeah, that would have been a nice keepsake. That's a very interesting necklace he's got on, though. I don't want to speculate what that. It's either a Thor's hammer or something sexual. I can't tell. But
well, Marvel was making all that jewelry at the time. You may see a picture of Marie Seven wearing the Conan medallion that they were selling. So,
I mean, look at that. I mean, I always love the fact that those early New York cons were the comic art convention. I mean, it was a comic book convention, but it was branded comic art convention. Right. So I always thought that was pretty special. You know, they kind of were focusing on it as an art, and yeah. Let's see. And then Chuck says that those FF pages were reprinted in the Comics Interview 25. Yeah.
Oh, great! I have to seek that out.
Let's see here. I always looked at that one. There we go.
Hey, there he is. Okay, here's my Jack Kirby story.
Let's hear it.
This was during the Marvel Con in 1976, and the big basis of the con was to welcome Jack back to Marvel from DC. And so I was sitting in the lobby of the Commodore Hotel, and I was fiddling with my camera, probably loading the film, some fresh film. And I see Jack standing there with his hands in his pocket. I thought, I'm going to go up and talk to him. And I thought, and I was just in awe of him and his work. And I thought, well, you know what? I've been to Hollywood. I talked to all these people. I'm going to be professional. So I walked up to him and, Mr. Kirby, I'm your biggest fan. He just smiled at me. He patted me in the back. He said, come on, kid, let's sit down. So we went over to one of the couches in the lobby and sat down. And
he saw you were hyperventilating.
Yeah. He gave me his what I heard later was his standard talk about, Sam, these kids today, they don't know how to write comics. And he went on, he visited with me for 15 minutes. It was a second. And I don't remember a lot of what he said, because I was sitting there, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And he got up to leave, and he let me take a couple pictures. And he says, well, I'll see you later. But now the ending to this story is that I saw him several times. He had his own room at the convention there where he was selling. In fact, that's where this picture was taken, where he was displaying his art and selling these new God prints. Well, they weren't new gods, but they were mythological prints.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what? I always sent film stars, when we had a picture taken, I send them the print and ask them to sign it for me. I'm going to send one to Jack at his studio in California, and I'll put a return self-addressed. I knew the drill. Return self-addressed envelope. So I get the picture back in a couple of weeks, and out comes a special. I sent him a whole bunch of prints, maybe about 50 prints, and besides my signed photo comes a drawing of Captain America and Bucky that he did just for me.
Wow. So that's pretty special.
How about that? There it is. So
that's pretty incredible.
Incredible. When people tell you what a nice man he was, it's not just a bunch of balloon juice. He was the king.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And he signed all the prints too?
I just sent him one.
Oh, you just sent him one?
See, I sent him all those for him to keep. And I guess he thought, well, you were nice enough to send the pictures. I'm going to send you a drawing. So,
dang. That is really, really incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean,
I'm so proud to have that. Yes, Alfredo. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. No, everybody's definitely impressed. I mean, see, these are great stories, and this isn't something that made it into the book. I mean, that I recall. I think, well, maybe you wrote a little. Did you write that you got something back? But I know the photograph or the artwork wasn't in there.
Yeah, that wasn't in there, but the story and a couple of pictures of Jack.
Part of it.
We could do a whole night of just Jack pictures. I took so many pictures of him during that weekend.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We should. That's why we need to do a book, Sam. I'm s- I think it's it must happen at this point or something. It's we need to do something. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This is great. I mean,
Yeah.
from the same show, the Marvel Con,
I,
and I've read the same
mhm.
thing about Jack had his own room for those kind of experiences just because
Yeah.
he
Look at
was
all
he
those
was
prints he
immersed.
was selling behind him there. The top.
Yeah, that's. But he didn't have any art with him, right?
There's some originals there that are matted. That like the Black Magic. That's an original cover,
Ah,
and,
okay.
and that Your Dreams. That's an original cover. He did have some originals there.
Wow. Yeah. See, well, we're getting lots of thumbs up on the idea of doing
Okay.
something, Sam. We'll talk about it.
All right.
But
You
yeah, but
got
that's
it.
that's fantastic. Again, lots of photos that nobody's ever seen or haven't seen in 50 years.
Out of the vault.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. I think that was all the photographs you sent me, but yeah, no, those are incredible, absolutely incredible. So
Well, there's lots more.
all right. Well, I want to see him. So if I want to see him and everybody else wants to see him, we're
Mhm.
gonna work something
See,
out.
I shot black and white film, and thank God for this technology. I was able to scan all the negatives, and by doing that, I was able to manipulate some of the images and make them look better. So take some of the scratches out and things like that. So
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, so you still have all the negatives from everything too?
everyone,
Oh wow, wow.
yeah,
Yeah, we need to talk.
okay,
I think that would be a very popular book. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, I think it almost needs to be done to kind of because who else is going to do it?
Mhm.
Sam, if you don't do it, uh, no one else will. So yeah, I think it's a necessity. So tell me a little bit more. We're only up to 1975 here, you know, and I know we have a lot of artwork to look at too. So I want to get to that. But any anecdotal stories from the mid 70s up until 1990. I mean, obviously you're still very active. What were you doing professionally throughout that period?
I was working in a variety of different jobs. I was doing research work, and um, I, I got into the printing industry, and then the bottom fell out of all that, and then I switched to something else. So I always was able to land on my feet, and I could never do this as a full time gig, the writing, but I did it as much as I could, and I made it last as long as I can, and then the world changed, publishing changed, changed 180 degrees, and um, I've done some online things, but um, not as much as I would like to. It's um, I had my blog for a short time, but um, I was good at putting the information together and the posts, but I really wasn't good at the technical part of it or the monetizing part of it because it seemed like I was putting an awful lot of work for little or no return. So
Hmm.
I shut that down, and something I would like to go back to one day, but if that
Well,
happens,
but now all that is copyright to you. I mean, if you were writing
yes.
about artists,
Mhm.
and the hobby, I mean, there's a lot of material there. I mean, yeah, we got to look into this. Sam, I'd love to work with you on something
Right.
like this.
Now, I,
Um,
I continue to collect original art after I return from these conventions, but
mhm.
uh, really the only outlet I found was the buyer's guide. Like many people have been on the show and talked about, you know, getting the buyer's guide, and a lot of times they didn't print pictures of the art with the ad, and unless you had a complete collection of comics, you couldn't see what Brave and the Bold number 58, page 4 was unless you had a copy of that. And
Right.
usually by the time you were able to track something down, the page was long gone. But I did buy from some dealers, and I slowly started to accumulate more and more pieces. Uh, but it wasn't until eBay came in the 80s that I really was able to increase my collection. And
90s.
90s, excuse me. So I mean, I buy a piece here, buy a piece there. If I was lucky enough to score one on the buyer's guide ad, but that didn't really happen a lot.
Yeah. See, everybody's like brainstorming on a Kickstarter ideas for us. And said you could offer signed photos as a tier, where you pick a really special photo and only do 10, that sort of stuff. So yes, a lot of brainstorming here. I mean, and we could probably get a lot of ideas from the audience and people who would be supporting the book. That I think there's, That's
By the way, if somebody wants a signed copy of my current book, Tripping Through Pop Culture, you can message me on my Comic Art Fans page, or I'm on Facebook. You can hit me up there. If you order one through Amazon, you'll get us a raw book and no signature. If that's something that means anything to you.
So hey, Rich Danny's want to know if you remembered any of the dealers that you were buying from in the we don't know who the first one is, obviously, but do you remember
one fella, and he's still selling now, Al Zarnicki?
See, I know Al. I mean, I know the name, but I don't think I've ever met Al.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if he's still around or not. I mean, I
guess
is.
He is.
Okay.
I bought something from him like 6 months ago, and I kind of rekindled. That's the thing. These people I dealt with, I'm still friends with. Back in 6th grade, I would see. Don't ask me where. I don't even remember now. I would see ads for comics. I guess people would say they had comics for sale in the letter columns, and I would send this young man in Joliet, Illinois. I was in 6th grade. I would literally get a piece of notebook paper and tape a few quarters and mail it to him, and he sent me back some back issue of Tales to Astonish or some nonsense. And it turned out later that person was Gary Colabono, who ran the big chain of Moondog stores in Chicago.
Wow!
It was behind the Chicago Con, and I still see Gary to this day at Windy City Pulp. So,
So you go to Windy City Pulp? I've always wanted to go to that show.
I do. It's a great show.
I've heard great things about it, and there's always interesting art that turns up at that show.
Well, there's a lot of great Chicago artists that come there, like Peter Poplawski, who does a lot of the book covers for the Batman and Superman daily strips. Doug Klaba is there. Gary Gianni, he shows up, and
Gary's amazing.
Yes, he is. And there's a whole bunch of Chicago artists that show up there. So
Rich apparently goes to that one too. Yeah, I've got to get to that show. I've heard so many good things about it from several collectors. So yeah, I've got to add that to my list.
Yeah, you got to.
So why don't we start looking at some art? We've got a fair amount of pieces to look at.
All right.
You still a rule breaker, because initially Sam sent me about 80 pieces to look at, and then I said, hey, we usually do about 18 to 20, and then he still sent me 26. So it's like Sam's.
That's me, always pushing, push.
No, I like it. That's why it kind of helps. There's a lot of great pieces in here.
I'd rather give you more than less, Bill.
And you know what? At the end of the day, it's with you, Sam.
I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back now. I think you should run those comic sales, the art sales, quarterly instead of biannually. I'm going to watch your head explode.
Oh man, I'm already. Now that I'm doing it, I'll be doing that in-person show starting in February. So I'm already overwhelmed with things going on around here. But yeah, I don't know. We've got a lot of ideas out there, but
I've got some terrific art from your sales, so I thank you for that.
Well, that's good. I'm really. It's always gratifying when I hear people who picked up art from the Comic Art Live virtual shows. I hear about it regularly these days now. After having done 6 of them, but it's great. Because for all those years leading up to doing that first show, I really never was an active participant in trying to help people sell their art. We had the classifieds, but I'm hands off with all that stuff, and so. Yeah. Building the first show and then just helping people try to figure out how to market their art better and coming up with better tools to push and alerts out, all that stuff it's just been a lot of fun. It really kind of has helped influence all the other sales shows that we do on the on the live channels as well. So
they're terrific. Fun. You do a fantastic job.
Thank you. I will never tire from hearing that. I appreciate it because, I'm all about marketing. That's before I did internet website work. I worked for a publisher, and we did a lot of marketing work there, and did a lot of different stuff with their online presences and magazines and those sorts of things leading up to. And I mean, I took everything I learned there and built Comic Art Fans, really. So I've got marketing's in my blood, and for the longest time I didn't really do any of it, right? So it's been the last 3 years have been a lot of fun. So yeah, let's just dive into the art.
All
here.
right, let's dive.
And I'm going to keep it in the order from which you sent it to me. So let's see.
Yes, that's art by the great Alvaro. He's a New York artist that he's a fashion illustrator and pop culture illustrator, and his work hangs in a lot of celebrities' homes in New York. He's tight with all these supermodels and people in the fashion industry, and he was there in the era of Warhol and Basquiat, and he was right in the thick of it all, and a terrific friend and a terrific artist.
And when did you pick this up?
That was I got it about a year ago.
Well, that's cool. So we're starting off with a more recent pickup.
Yeah. I mean, he does daily drawings practically of all these. If somebody has a birthday or some pop culture stars in the news, and he does all these drawings, and one is just better than the other. He's fantastic.
No, it's awesome. I mean, it looks a little bit of airbrush or something on it, as far as but certainly a lot of paint. It's nice. Yeah. It's very nicely done. And just like Comic Art Boston said, Marvel fans had beautiful color choices. I mean, you can't go wrong. Oh, you cannot go wrong.
He is amazing.
All right, and the glitter, says Mr. Easy Go Lucky.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got it.
Let's see. I know this next piece is a piece by Wayne Boring.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of the Comics Buyer Guide, Wayne's widow, coincidentally named Lois, she was selling some of his Superman dailies in the Buyer's Guide. And I bought several from her, and we struck up a conversation. And I was going to an Orlando con in the early 90s. She lived near there, and I said, Lois, I said, we're coming out. I said, let me take you to dinner. So we took her to dinner. We hit it off very well. I brought her back to her apartment, and she says, are you interested in any of this stuff? And she pulls this painting out, which was the last Superman painting that Wayne did before he passed away. And she had a big stack of these preliminaries that he had done, like the Superman, Lois, and the Prankster. They were just like gags or story ideas. And I bought a whole bunch of stuff from her.
Wow.
And the funny part about getting this painting home, it's pretty good size. Back in the day, you could kind of carry things on a plane with you at your seat, and there was no way I was going to let the flight attendants put this in the storage cabin. And I wasn't going to put it, in the luggage. It wouldn't fit in my luggage, so I literally held it on my lap the whole trip back home. And I always laugh. I think of the old I Love Lucy episode where she had that big hunk of cheese that she was trying to smuggle back on the plane, and she wrapped it up like a baby and held it on her lap the whole time. And that's how I felt. I wasn't going to let anybody touch this but me.
Wow. And George Hodge is absolutely right. It is the San Diego program cover.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, yeah.
Now I do.
Yeah, let me see here. Right here. Look at that. From 1988.
Oh, wow.
Gee, you didn't even know.
Yeah.
Now it's even more special. Not only did it ride on your lap all the way back home, you thought the wife with the husband who was reading the comics felt a little odd. The flight attendants were giving you the eye, but that's pretty amazing. See, this you didn't even know. Well, thank you, George, for pointing that out.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow. How do you know that, George? I mean, I think of, I'd love to know how George knew what that was. That's
George knows everything. He knows more about comics than any of us ever will.
That's unbelievable. By George, he's right.
By George, he's the man.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, George. That's awesome. Uh, let's see. Oh, George says he has a pinup from the issue, 50th anniversary of Superman, I believe.
Oh.
Ah, all right. So there's something. Yeah. So there's a tie there. That's great. Wow. Unbelievable. So well, I'll highlight a couple questions for later. But yeah, let's see. What do we got here? Next up is this is by Rick Burchett, right?
Rick was a neighbor of mine when I lived in St. Louis for years. Well, he's still my friend, but show you what a thoughtful guy Rick is. He used to always have a Christmas party, and every year he would give me a page of his art for a Christmas present, which thrilled me to no end. And one year, his wife Julie took me aside and said, "You know, Sam Brickley wants to apologize." And I said, "What for?" She said, "Well, he thinks giving you a piece of art isn't a good present." And I'm like, "What? Are you kidding?" But
keep them coming. Yeah.
Keep them coming. Keep giving me those bad presents. But Rick knows what a great golden age fan I am. And he did this specifically for me, this cover recreation. And Rick's the guy. I mean, he knows I like Golden Age. And when he did that Harry G. Peter Golden Age parody for Wonder Woman 200, he made sure I got a couple of the pages. And that's just what a nice guy he is. And a super talented artist, of course.
Oh, yeah, without question. So, yeah, that's funny, though. Oh, I hate him so much, you should give me 2 every year. Maybe that'll make him better.
But that was just incredibly thoughtful, and I treasure it. I don't have it hanging just Christmas. I have it all year.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a great illustration. That's phenomenal. So that was in what it says 07, 09. I can't quite make it out, but
thereabouts, you know.
And then Howard Chaykin here. I mean, this is from Savage Sword of Conan and a Red Sonja page. I wonder why I haven't gotten him to draw any Red Sonja for these sales shows that I do. I think I should tell him to do one for the next one. He drew her rather nicely.
And I got this from him at a Chicago Comic-Con, and he had known me from the New York conventions, and I'd always send him pictures, and I didn't have enough money for this at the time. And he said, "Go ahead and take it." He said, "You can pay me later." He goes, "I trust you." I thought, wow, what a great guy.
But no, this is gorgeous. I love, Chaykin is just a master of page layout. And, this is really, really nice. Yeah. Oh, and Goo just said it's a fantastic Sonja as well. I mean, exactly. I love, he's just always had a very cinematic approach to his work, and obviously that's why he's got the whole paradigm thing, and they brought him into Marvel to teach new artists how to tell good stories through their art. I mean, he was fantastic, and this is a gorgeous page, Sam. I mean, I think
thank you.
Anybody in the audience would love to have a piece like this in their collection. It is great.
I'm very proud to have it.
Let's see here.
Oh,
Mark
this is one of my top 3 favorite pieces. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Mark.
Look how he did the villains there in the background.
Yeah, that is fun. And like you were, as a reference point for you, I mean, this is the turning point for pop culture was Batman, right? And
right.
The TV
absolutely.
show.
And the great part about this piece is through this piece, Mark and I become friends, and I treasure his friendship. He's a great person, and super nice, and I always support his Kickstarter projects, and he's terrific.
Yeah, that's what's the size on it? I mean, I just out of curiosity.
It's approximately, I would say, 12 by 18.
Oh wow. How indeed, Rick. Oh man, let's see. Now this is a Dennis Cowan piece. And
friend of the show, yeah.
That's really, really slick. I mean, I love Dennis's work. And what did Dennis tell you when he saw this?
He said this was his first published professional work.
And isn't that
He,
amazing? This is the title page to his first published work. I mean, how incredible is that?
he almost
Sam, you
jumped
didn't,
out of his chair when I showed this to him.
and I mean, Dennis is a big music fan here, and here
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so curious and interesting that this ends up being his first published piece because, I mean, wow, I mean, that's pretty spectacular.
And I just saw Dennis with Howard Chaykin at the GalaxyCon. I mentioned December in Columbus, and Dennis, aside from being a great artist, he's a fantastic human being, a great humanitarian. He's done a lot with his Milestone project to help up and coming artists, and
True.
he does a lot of really good work that most people don't know about it. Artist or not, he's a fantastic man.
Yeah, really. And that, I mean, this is the the 2/3 splasher is just great. I mean, I mean, it's amazing how talented Dennis is. And he's got Tony DeZuniga doing the inks on this too, so that wasn't too bad to have him as an inker on your first project. But wow, yeah, this is great. And again, it's just so interesting. You have the boring piece, and then you have this. I mean, they're just such iconic and important pieces in a collection. It just shows that you had very good taste, Sam.
Well, people make fun of me because my taste in comics kind of ended at Silver Age, and they'll say, "Yeah, you think DC quit publishing in 1976?" And I would say, "No, that's not true. More like 1979." But I've been buying a lot of newer comics recently. There's a lot of great art out there, and and I fully support DC does these, and Marvel do these books celebrating diversity. Black Pride, and I just really support what they do.
No, indeed. And I mean, this next piece is I know Nick Barucci is gonna wish he owned this one. You've got a Bill Everett subby page. I mean,
Penciled
look at that.
and inked by Everett.
Oof. I mean, this is gorgeous, man. Yeah, if you wanted a good Everett example, I mean, this is fantastic.
You got Subby, you got your Goofy Monster, and
Wow.
Action, and
Wow.
Bill, I was doing some research on this piece, and this may, to my uneducated research, this may be the last time that Everett penciled and inked the Submariner.
Huh.
Because I think he did a couple issues of this after that people had to finish. I think he passed away shortly thereafter. He was ill, and so it may be the last pencil and ink subby he did.
Wow. Yeah, Everett was incredible, but yeah, it's great. I mean, how long have you had this page in your collection?
Oh, I've had it at least 25, 30 years.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow. See, before many of us even got started in collecting, Sam, you were picking up the good ones.
That's right.
Well, I'm jealous. I've only been collecting about 24 years. So yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, I think anybody who had the opportunity to buy art, in the 80s and 90s, I mean, they're the ones with the best stories. So congrats on having this in your collection.
Well, timing is everything in life, Bill.
Yes, it is. Sometimes it works to my advantage, and other times it does not. Now this is a Virgil Finlay. I mean, I love Virgil's work. I mean, this is you can't really do wrong with pretty much anything that Virgil worked on. So, but was this something newer for you?
If anybody in my life told me that I was going to ever own a piece of Virgil Finlay art, I thought I would tell them they were nuts. But 2 years ago at Windy City, CAF member Doug Ellis brought a bunch of Finlay pieces of art he got on commission from his family, and I bought all I could, and this is an outstanding piece.
Yeah, Doug's been selling pieces from the daughter, I think,
yes,
kind of periodically, and it's And I've been following it too, because I've always wanted to get a piece. I just haven't seen the right one. It's like every 4 months, Doug sends out a PDF, email,
Right.
and he kind of has a list of stuff in there. So for those of you who like Finley's work, and also other, he does have other kind of more pulp oriented artists and things of that genre, you should hit up Doug Ellis through CAF. He'll put you on his mailing list, because it's always an interesting thing to thumb through, even if nothing in it is up your alley to buy. I go through it every time I get one, because there's always something I haven't seen before. Oh, yeah. Rick Welch is telling everybody the same thing. Get on his mailing list.
You won't see much, if any, of his science fiction art, but his illustration art is just beautiful, as you can see here.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's kind of down to, I think, is more of his spot illustrations, personal drawings, those sorts of things. But again, you want to own a nice example. It's out there, and Doug is.
And it's affordable,
Yeah, it really is. Now, next one here is a beautiful Craig Hamilton piece.
Yes, it's the great Craig Hamilton.
I mean, just the composition of this, the image here is, it's stunning. I'm envious, Sam.
Well, I own several of Craig's pieces, and several of them will not get past standards and practices, but
but this one,
this one is good.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely jealous on this one. It's gorgeous, absolutely stunning.
I'm concerned he can do no wrong art wise.
No, not at all. It's when you see it, you know it, and yeah. I mean, I'm an X-Men fan, so this one's right up my alley. But congrats on having this one. So you've known Craig for a while?
I have. I've known him for about at least 25 years.
Dang. Is it on
I'm hoping he comes
paper
to
or board?
this year.
That would be nice.
I'm sorry? Yes.
I said that would be very nice, yeah.
He used to come very often, and I think he's going to try to make it this year, so I hope he does.
Well, right now that is the show. If you want to get in front of the most comic art collectors, Heroes is definitely it. I mean, it's
the best show in town, let me tell you.
I agree. Sheldon knows how to put on a good show.
He's another terrific person. So many great people in this industry and this hobby. It's incredible.
Now we got a Don Heck Avengers 15 page.
Now, I got this at the 1975 show. That was one of the several pieces I got.
Really? This is one of the first 5 pieces you picked up. That's incredible.
First few, yes. Now, this is Kirby Heck art and Esposito finishes, or inking, I should say. But look, this page has it all. You got your Masters of Evil. You've got the Avengers. You got everything going on here.
Yeah. No, this is a keeper for sure. And again, you picked this up in 1975. 48
And I remember exactly what I paid for it. $10.
Oh boy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is an incredible place. Like just what Goose said. What a start. Yeah. To have one of this piece be one of your first 5. Wow. That is amazing. Yeah, I'm in awe. So this next piece is really cool though. This is somebody now what is the name of the artist? Because I wasn't sure.
I'm going to try to. I wrote it down, so I hope I pronounce it correctly. Hendry II. Hendry II. He is a
it's a great recreation.
Artist. Yeah, it's an Indonesian artist that does these cover recreations, and to me, this hits all my growing up whistles. It's like a great pulp cover, great golden age cover type art, and he just nailed this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know, you didn't end up, when you whittled everything down, you didn't include like the Kamolo, but I mean, I don't see Kamolo in this, but I see that same kind of energy and enthusiasm and, the color work here. I mean, so So yeah, I'm kind of curious about the artist as well. I'll have to see
Yeah,
if
I would recommend, if anybody's interested in the commission, to reach out to him. He does great work. Keeps in great communication and fast turnaround, and as you can see, this is a beauty.
it is. Is this something you got recently?
Yes, with the last 6 months or so.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll dig around and figure out if I can get a link for anybody later.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Now here is a
Ah,
Carmen Infantino Detective Comics page with Elongated Man in it.
yes, a page that Infantino inked himself.
That's beautiful.
Julie Schwartz never liked his inking. I loved it.
Yeah, his style
In
is
the
was a
back of the
little weird to get used to, but not once you get it, it's I mean he's incredible. I love his work.
he got very excited when I showed this to him at a convention, and he asked me to send him a copy, which I did. And on the back of the page is almost as much art as on the front. He did all these practice sketches rather than doodles and things like that.
It is a dynamic page. Says Comic Art Boston. I agree. And let's see. Now this is Kaluta, right?
This is an unused cover because the people are facing the wrong direction for the cover format that they changed to. So Kaluta did it over again in the right format, but this is the one that was rejected.
Well, I bet you got a good price on it.
Well, I think this appeared in some fanzine, and no, I didn't get a good price. I had to pay for it at the time, but it was worth it.
No, I mean it's a very nice piece. And that's funny. Well, they probably could have just statted it and flipped it or something. So Mike
That's
didn't have to
what I
draw
thought,
it a second time.
but it was Strange Adventures when they were doing those reprint books, Bill, and this is Kaluta often did covers for those, and this one they rejected. So
Wow. I'm glad it's back in your hands. I mean, is this? I see the note that you put on it was from '72.
I believe so. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I went back and checked that issue of Strange Adventures, and they had the revised cover. It was from '72.
Huh. Well, again, this is a gorgeous piece in your collection. This is great. Let's see. Now this is a little, you're gonna have to explain this one to me. I know this is
It's not comic art,
right.
but this is a artist by the name of J. Maillard Kessler, and he was an artist and photographer in New York in the 1940s, and he specialized in photographing and painting all the Broadway stars. And this is one of the handful of his originals that survived a fire. This is the actress Teresa Wright, who was in The Little Foxes and The Best Years of Our Life. And I think it's just beautiful.
Well, you can see a photographer's approach to the portrait, right? That's very, very nicely done.
It is.
And
it's a huge size.
Oh, is it really?
Yes, it's I'd say 2 by 3 feet at least.
Wow.
It's huge.
You have to have a big portfolio for that, Sam.
Yeah, a big frame. I'm trying to find a frame, have a custom one made.
Nice. But so whoever this artist lost a lot of their work in a fire?
Yes, he did. If you check on eBay, you can see a lot of his photos for sale, but his art is pretty much all, what little of it was, is in the hands of private collectors.
Well, and congratulations for getting this one. Let's see. Oh, a little bit of Kirby. Are you going to tell me this was one of your first 5 too?
That was the very first one.
This one.
This one.
How much did you pay for this one, Sam?
$25.
$25. Oh my goodness.
$25. Yeah, that was from the the dealer you showed the picture of it was selling the Killraven cover.
Yeah.
I bought it from that gentleman. But you got Mr. Fantastic and the Thing and Atlanteans and the Submariner, and got a little bit of everything going on.
Wow.
That nice twice up art, and you can't see it in the picture, but there's all kinds of notations either from Stan or from Jack on, well, this panel, Mr. Fantastic should have a serious look, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, this is from FF Annual #1.
Yes.
Curry pencils, obviously, Dick Ayers inks. So
Right.
yeah, this is pretty spectacular to see. Dang. Yeah, no. Well, again, and your first 5.
My
You're
first
killing
5,
us,
yes.
Sam. You're killing us. And you held on to it. That's the special.
I held on to him, yes.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, congrats on that. I mean, this is definitely a historic piece in many different ways, and a great story, obviously. So wow. Let's see. Next one here. This was the it's a Green Lantern painting, obviously, and but you said not primarily a comic book artist. Tell me better about the artist.
I commissioned this from artist Doug Klaba, who is a commercial illustrator in Chicago. In fact, I mentioned he'll be at Windy City Pulp. He always comes. And he's done a lot of covers for Moonstone Comics, like the Kolchak books and some Dynamite Phantom covers for Moonstone.
Well, he's got a really nice style, very professional style on
he's
here.
Terrific.
I could see him being a magazine cover or book cover illustrator.
Yes, absolutely. So the detail on it is fantastic.
But you did this as a commission with them?
Yes.
And what size? Out of curiosity.
It's approximately, I would say, 12 by 18 size.
Okay, because you have it framed. That's why we kind of have the reflection on it.
Right.
Yep. No, nice. This is something you should look at every day. That's on the back wall, isn't it?
I have it in my office, so I see it every day.
Here. You can see right there, right behind you.
Right behind me, yes. And there's the Kirby page next to it.
Man. Well, those are 2 great pieces to be looking at on a regular basis. I see the Craig Hamilton's back there, too.
Yeah, right next to him.
Jimmy,
Craig
who's next to Craig Hamilton? Is
a Dennis Cow and Jimi Hendrix.
It's a Dennis Cow and Jimi Hendrix. I thought maybe it might have been a Sienkiewicz Jimi Hendrix.
No.
But, just as good. Just as good.
Just as good.
Like I say, I know Cowan loves his musicians, so that's why it was so cool to have that first page, his first piece of published art, basically.
Yeah.
He had to have been pretty excited to see that and remember that. Man, let's see. What do we got next? We've got this is something from Star Hunters.
Okay. There's a great story behind this piece. A friend of mine is a writer. I don't want to give his name out, embarrass him, but it's a writer for Marvel and DC, and we met at an early convention, probably at 75 or 76 convention. We corresponded for years, and one letter he says, I've got a bunch of art and stuff that was given to me, and I really don't want it. Do you want it? And I said, absolutely. So this was one of the pages, and that he sent me a big stack of stuff. There was really Jim Apparel pages and all kinds of nice things in there. And this is a Newton ink by Bob Layton.
Oh, wow. Because I knew it was Don Newton, but I didn't realize it was inked by Layton. That's great.
Yeah.
So what was he
DC
doing with
Superstars number 16. Pardon me?
What was he doing with the stack of pages?
Well, I guess they were returned to him as his, DC was giving so many pages to the inkers, so many to the artist, and so many to the writer. And I think these were pages he had returned to him that he didn't really want.
Wow. That's
and I wanted them, so I said, yes, please.
Boy, yeah, you're right place, right time there, and it's all about who you know. But that worked out great for you.
It did.
Now, let's see the next piece.
Ah,
Now, how does this
wow.
fit? How does this fit into your collection? Tell me how this one fits in yours.
Well, I like the Juggernaut, and I just love, I love the painters like Doug Klaba and some of the other people we've seen examples of. And this was just a terrific page. She's not a page, but terrific illustration by a Canadian artist named David Orgill, Orgill, or Orgill. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And he offered this for sale, and I jumped on it, and I posted it on Facebook in 3D. And gosh, it looks terrific in 3D.
Oh, really? I can see that. I can only imagine if you're tipping it side to side that he would come out. That's awesome.
I love this piece. I bought several originals from him since then, and he is the bomb.
Wow, that's cool. And so it's a recent piece too. It's
Recent piece about the last year and a half or so. But I bought a couple from him since then.
Very, very nice. Now, let's see. Oh, this is a Ryman piece, right? Green Lantern page.
Right. Back in the 70s, when Marv Wolfman and Len Wein were working as interns at DC, Saul Harrison pulled all these pages of art out of the DC storeroom, and most of these pages were what they call written off. That either the book was canceled before they used the inventory, or they scratched the story. And this, I assume, is from an unpublished story from All American Comics or Green Lantern before they changed formats.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave Marv and Len a stack of art for them to destroy. They used to cut on the paper cutter. They could not bring themselves to do that, so they would cut along the white horizontal border and keep it in strips. And somehow these 3 strips that comprised a whole page survived, and a person who sold to me had mounted them on a single board and actually made a page out of them. So this is from an unpublished story.
Well, thankfully they didn't pick them up and dump them in the trash. I mean, I've heard that story before too. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the artwork that they got, but no, I know that I've heard that, so I know it's true.
So it's a fun curiosity.
Well, thank goodness they did it.
Yes.
Now this next one is going to, I think, blow a lot of people's minds here, but
yes.
A Marvel's double page spread, basically, from Alex Ross. I mean, look at this. This is unbelievable.
I bought these right after Marvel's came out, and Alex was starting to make a name for himself. Artist Scott Bieterstadt's then wife, Lisa, was selling them as Ross's agent. And I snapped these 2 pages up, as well as some preliminaries and layout pages that he did. And I paid more for these 2 pages of art than I ever paid for several pages of original art at one time. But I'm glad I did. I don't regret it for a second. And I just love these.
No, well, it's so memorable. I mean, for anybody who loved Marvels, I mean, they're just 2 of the most gorgeous pages, maybe from the book, I think. And so, yeah, I mean, I can see why you just had to have them, even if, like you said, you paid more for these than you had paid for any other piece in your collection before that. Wow. I mean, these are, and they're framed too. So again, these pieces are ones that you get to look at and enjoy every day.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Dang. Yeah. Everybody else. I knew these were going to impress, because I mean, when I saw these, I thought, Sam owns these. It just wasn't what I expected, Sam. But because again, I mean, I can't afford an Alex Ross, but you went out of your way and you made it work. I think
I made it work. I bought all I could afford from him at the time.
Well, congratulations for doing that. I mean, I remember around the same period, I was looking at Alex's work, and and as a young collector, I just was like, well, I can get more for my money elsewhere, right? But yeah, I look back on it and I see pieces like this, and it's like, well, maybe I should have swung for the fences when I had an opportunity.
Well, don't think I'm so smart, Bill. I lost out on a Dick Sprang piece because I quibbled over $50. So don't think I'm
No.
such a smart guy.
All right. Well, there's pluses and minuses in everybody's
That's right.
collecting careers out there, but yeah, this is. But again, this is fantastic. I mean, absolutely wonderful. I'm glad
Thank
you
you.
got these. Let's see here. So these are cool. I mean, and I know that you have got a good story around this. This is Marie Severin, like a cover prelim to Amazing Adventures when it had the Beast, the cool Beast logo on those covers. But how did you come about getting one of these?
Well, this was at the Marvel Con in '76. Marie came into the artist room and she had a whole stack of these cover layouts, and she was selling them for $5 a piece. And I bought about 4 or 5 of them. But this is one of the better ones. You know, her beautiful wash style there.
Well, I mean, it's pretty finished. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I love this piece. I mean, who wouldn't want to own one of these? And the idea that you saw Marie coming in with a stack of them. Were you first in line? Did you get your pick?
I don't think I was first in line, but I wasn't too far behind.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool. And again, 76. You know, it's just something that they were just bringing in because at least they were laying around and they hadn't thrown them out. So yeah, I mean,
see, at that time, the artists and writers were trying to form a group called the Academy of Comic Book Artists.
That's
ACBA.
right. Yeah,
and I believe she was selling them to raise money for that to get that organization started. So
I have read about that. Who was telling me about that? Lawrence Klein, I think. Gosh, which reminds me, I'm supposed to email Lawrence about something.
Yeah.
But
I joined myself. I mean, I have a lot of the literature packed away somewhere, but
yeah, no, this is it's very nice. And you know, and we're seeing cover prelims like this, you know, go for a lot of money these days because so many of us can't afford the published covers from those stories. So prelims are, you know, the next best thing at the end of the day.
See, I love this. I love stuff like that because I love to see how the finished product gets tweaked, and it's almost like a cut scene from a movie that they didn't put in the final film. You know, I enjoy this kind of behind the scenes type of work.
Yeah, no, without question. And then Marie Severin did she taught a lot of people in the bullpen, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you know, where would Herb Trimpe be without Marie Severin beside him? I mean, I'm sure she ripped the heck out of him the whole time, but you know, he learned a great deal from Marie, and she educated a lot of the young Marvel artists who came in and worked in the bullpen. So yeah,
but she was like the den mother then. You know, she kind of kept everybody in line, kept the schedules on time.
Exactly. Let's see. So next up, we've got another piece by Joe, and this is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I have a pencil piece just of headshots of the Fantastic Four by Joe from around, you know, I think it's like 78 or so. I got it from Anthony, but this is beautiful. This is so beautiful.
Well, he did this for me. He sent it to me as a gift, and he put a note in there apologizing. He said, "I'm sorry I didn't get to do anything better than this stock pose." That's so Joe. And then in addition, he included a finished Fantastic Four Brick Buckler page that he inked that had a big image of Dr. Doom on it, and he clipped a note on it and said, "I know you like Dr. Doom, so I thought you might like this." So what a guy. What a nice guy.
How is that even possible? You know, he sends you a gift and then he sends you a published page as an afterthought because he knows you like Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
A buckler piece, no less.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. And this is, you know, this is gorgeous. You know, again, Sinnott can do no wrong. And,
no, sir.
Wow. I mean, this is gorgeous. Yeah, number one Marvel fan says, "Put me on the list if you're selling." Well, yeah, right, exactly. But yeah, no. But see, the thing is, I think everybody's learned is that Sam doesn't let anything go. He keeps things for forever. So yeah, don't expect that one to go anywhere soon. But yeah, I agree with Rick Welch, pure class without question. Sam, Joe was such a great
Absolutely.
guy.
With the
Wow,
capital C.
man, yeah, this is a beauty. Let's see. So then we got Vosberg. I love Vosberg's work, and I've had him on the show a few times too. But this is what is this from? It's Fu Manchu, obviously. I
Deadly
can't
Hands of
remember.
Kung Fu, the black and
Deadly
white
Hands of Kung
magazine.
Fu. Oh
Yeah.
man, I love magazine art from this era.
Yeah.
Wow. And this is so. What's the story behind this one? Is well, I mean, I see a note that you met Vosberg at a '77 Detroit con.
Right. And we hit it off, and we hung out, and he invited me to the studio, and he did a color drawing of he was working on a book called later became Starfire, and he did a beautiful color piece of the main female character there for me. But he had a big stack of art. He goes, "Oh, go ahead and take a piece." And so I pulled this one off the stack.
Take a piece, sure. How did you,
Take
Sam?
a
It's
piece.
like you just
Take
walked
two, they're
around.
small.
People just gave you art everywhere you went. It's just
But
amazing.
that's the way it was back then,
Well, it seems like it's still around though. I mean, you still get a gift here or there. And let's see, Free Comics mentions that Sam's collecting is like a greatest hits album. I agree. and just like yes, and this one was free as well. Let's see. Jeff Wright is asking if I was anybody able to name to catch the artist that did the Steranko piece. That was. I'll type it in the chat.
Can I make a comment here? Can I?
Yeah, please do.
All right, let me see if I can figure out.
Oh, you mean in the chat? I can type it in there for you.
Okay, it's HEND DRI second two Roman numeral ones.
There we go. I got it in there for you. Yeah, that's why I figured I would look them up. I mean, it's with such a unique style.
He's on Facebook as well, so you may as well want to contact him there.
Huh. Yeah, and there's a couple pieces on CAF as well. I'll post this link in the chat too for those of you who are interested. But that's not going to probably give you a lot of information about how to find them. Like you just said, if they're on Facebook.
Yeah, if not, send me a message on my Facebook account or a Comic Art Fans account, and I'll be glad to get back to you.
There you go. Cool. Yeah, no, I thought it was a very unique style for sure. So, but again, you meet Vosberg, you get some free art. Did you take any photographs at his studio? Now there would be a great thing too. I mean, you've got the con photos. Did you take any photos ever when you visited?
You know what? I did at the convention, but not at his studio, unfortunately.
Okay. But you've got a few pictures of Vosberg at Detroit Con in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
the other guest there was Will Eisner.
Oh yeah, see
yes.
that's well, okay. I've just got too many ideas now, but let's see. We actually had we're going to show some more artwork because this was going by too fast. But so we're kind of wrapping it up with a Wrightson.
House of Mystery number 188, 1970. Very early Wrightson there, pencils and inks.
And you're not going to tell me this was one of your first 5, are you?
No, I bought that later.
Okay.
But which I was able to be the first one on a comic buyer guide ad, so I was able to slip in there in time.
Well, that's really, really nice. I mean, any Wrightson's a good Wrightson at the end of the day.
Oh, yes.
Can't go wrong. Yeah, no, this one's it's gorgeous. Everybody agrees. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what I know it's from House of Mystery, but I do not have the issue number. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
188. 188 is 1970.
188. Got it from
Yeah,
19. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
So this is
I don't
this,
think they had gone horror that long when Wrightson did this.
huh? Yeah, and just like Rich mentioned, there's an E. He got an E, so it's later. At least when he signed
Mhm.
it. Yep. Um, but no, another gorgeous page. But now, again, we went so through this so quick. Look, we can actually look at a few other pieces. Let me switch this over here and get this to there. Sorry, I got to swing a few things around. There we go. Remember, everybody said show them all. Well, we're not going to show them all, but there were lots of other pieces that Sam
Show
had.
the Oxner Bob Hope page. The first one on the left, top left.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, look at Bob Oxner there. Those books will never be reprinted because of copyright. The Images of Hope and Jerry Lewis, but he was so good at that. That was his specialty.
That's a good one. And I mean, you just got well. There's the piece that was on the back wall, the Cowan piece. Yep, there you go.
Right.
Yeah, unmistakably by Dennis.
What a talented man.
Yeah. I mean, his tenure in the hobby. He's just all the artists that he got to interact with. I mean, he's had a pretty amazing career.
Absolutely.
Let's see, what do we got? A mold off piece here. Hey, look, Sam, you got drawn into the piece.
Shirley did pretty much stock poses, and this was something different. So
I like it. I like it a lot. What else we got in here? You tell me if you want to highlight anything. I mean, you got a Jim Mooney, Supergirl. Can't go wrong with that.
That was the commission work from Jim.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to get a commission piece from Jim, I mean, I think this, that's what you want to get. I mean, there's a lot of characters you get, but that's one that he always drew rather well. Let's see, you got some Wayne Boring ink pieces here. Let's see what else we got here. That's a nice page.
Okay, that's a Fred Ray cover. He was a Golden Age artist, did some very early Superman and action covers.
Mm-hmm.
And later on in life, he was a big Civil War buff, and he meticulously researched these war stories that he drew for DC in their war books. And that's an example of his art there.
Well, that's really nice. Let's see. Whoops, let me just lost that for a second. Let me bring it back in. Why'd you do that? There it goes. Let's see. What else we got in here? So you actually have another. You have another Ross. See, I didn't even notice that. Wow.
That's a preliminary for one of the scenes in Marvels.
Wow.
It's done in wash on a heavy board.
So that's a prelim. Probably never
Prelim,
seen.
yes.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Well, so you picked up a few other pieces. Like you did say that, though. You said you picked up a few things that weren't, you stretched yourself thin on it a bit.
Okay.
There you go. And a Craig Hamilton piece here.
Yes. That's a
Very
Craig
nice.
from his Aquaman miniseries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's lovely. And then
I think I bought that from Mr. Moy.
Oh, Mr. Moy. Nobody calls him Mr. Moy. Well, maybe some people who work for him. But here you go. Nice Kaluta piece here. This is really nice. Wow.
Sure.
That's got to be pretty impressive in person, Sam.
It is. It's done smaller size than the standard comic book page.
Uh-huh.
Which I thought was kind of unusual, but
no, that's beautiful. How many Kalutas do you have in your collection?
I have about 4.
Well, that's 4 more than I have. That's great.
This is part of the first 5 I got in 1975. This was a great Irvinovic Joker page. and it's inked by Dick Giordano, and Dick was at the show, so I had him sign it for me.
Dang, that's incredible. So okay, so we've seen 3 of the first 5 so far.
Right.
That's a good one. That's a great Joker. Wow. Oh, that's when we saw
Alex Toth.
Alex Toth, the Hot
from
Wheels
his Hot
page.
Wheels book.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are hard to get. That's for sure. Wow. Maybe dog food for my pets. That's a good page. That is a fun page right there. Oh,
Frank Robbins.
Frank Robbins Invaders page. My goodness. That's beautiful. Dang, that's nice. Those are highly coveted, Sam.
Mm.
If you didn't know that. So we get see that one. Yep.
Oh, here's the Jim Apparel.
Yep. Oh man.
The last issue of Aquaman, the city that devoured Detroit, or whatever was the title of the book. The monster that devoured Detroit. I forget what the title was. It was the last issue of the first Aquaman series. I think 55, number 55 or 56.
Very nice. There's a lot of apparel collectors out there that I know of.
I know, yes. Oh, here's the page. This is the page that Joe sent me with the color drawing.
Unbelievable. This is the page, the Buckler Synod page. Unbelievable. Look at that, everybody. That was just a throw-in to that Fantastic Four, humdrum pose sketch that he sent. Yeah, this was just an extra gift. Wow. Unbelievable. And you get the surfer in there. Holy moly. What did you, I hope you bought him some pizza the next time you saw him. Wow. Yeah, that's a keeper right there. That is beautiful. Wow. Yeah, that's great. That might be one of my favorite pieces we've looked at. I mean, it's just I always like Buckler Synod is like, I've been looking for a Buckler Synod page of really anything that they worked on together. But man,
Bill, in a way, I did pay Joe for this because he, not a lot of people know it, but Joe was a big Bing Crosby fan, and Joe would contribute art, covers for the Crosby Fan Club Journal. So when I saw him at HeroesCon in 2004, I bought him a whole stack of Crosby photos and records and memorabilia that he didn't have. He was so happy to get those.
Nice. Well, yeah, that is a beauty. And it even says, to my friend Sam from Joe Synod. That's special. Yeah, another piece by Rick.
This is another one of Rick's rotten Christmas gifts. Rick was inking this for Who's Who. It's a swan. You can see the swan pencils, and on the left, the major figure, you can see Rick's inking of it. Isn't that sweet?
That is. That's great.
Gave that to me for a Christmas gift.
Oh, I don't have anything to give to Sam. I'm just going to send him a piece of art. Let's see, we saw that one. Not this one. The Don Newton Aquaman.
No, Don Newton Aquaman page from the World's Finest backup.
That's a fantastic layout of the panel structure. The characters in there. Yeah, that's perfection right there.
Absolutely.
Ray Lago piece.
Ray Lago, yes, one of his trading cards.
Yeah, nicely done there too. I love Ray's work.
Ray knows I love his work, so for a time he always gave me first crack at when he was posting stuff for sale. So I snapped that up. Oh, another one of those cover roughs.
Yeah, John Romita Sr.
Berkey'd like to see that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah, I think he would. It's funny. I have a cover rough. Mike actually gave me. I don't even know why, but he gave me. He laid out 10 John Romita Sr. pieces that he was he said you could take one, and I took a cover up of a guy with a sword fighting a creature. It wasn't mine, was more of a kind of a lizardy looking creature. So, but yeah, it reminds me of that. It's very similar, you know, lots. But I love his just so gestural in the way he kind of laid out his did his cover design. I mean, obviously, you know, Maurice Severin did a lot of cover design for Marvel, and then of course Romita Senior as you know, he did a lot as editor and whatnot. I mean, Stan trusted him with so much, but yeah, I always love his stuff. Yes,
You know, a lot of the younger artists didn't appreciate Romita Senior touching their work. And Alan Weiss told me once that he was in a conference with Romita, and he was criticizing a cover. He goes, "Why does that guy have such a pained, angry look on his face?" And Weiss said, "Well, maybe he had a bad day."
We saw this one. That's cool.
Kent Williams.
That's Kent Williams, right? That's awesome. A Nightcrawler by Kent Williams. That's amazing.
One of his trading card pieces.
Wow. I love Kent Williams art.
Me too.
A little Neil Adams too, right? That's not bad.
I got that at my 1975 con when Neil was doing sketches.
That's pretty cool.
I showed that to him later in life. He said, "How much did you pay for that?" I said, $35. Well, you got a bargain. You should give me more money.
That's Neil. That is definitely something he would have said. I know that. I think I've heard him. I've heard that story from Rich Cirillo, who hung out with Neil a lot. You know, you would hear him say stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, shoot, that's awesome. And again, from 1975, like we said earlier, Sam doesn't let go of anything. And
kept it after all those years.
They've all got stories, man. They do. That's wonderful. So that one.
Tony Harris. Isn't that a great Gary Oldman Dracula?
Yeah, it's great. It is really, really nice. Yeah, I like his style.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, this is Michael Baer, who seems to have vanished in the earth. I haven't seen anything from him in a long while. But this is a page from All-Star Squadron.
Yeah, he's around. I emailed with him. I think the last time I emailed with him might have been 2 years ago. We were talking about maybe doing a live stream art sale show or something, and we didn't.
Oh, he's fantastic. I love his art.
Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, he's but yeah, I don't know why. I should make a note of that to see what happened there. I mean, we
have about a half a dozen pieces of his.
Yeah, very prolific, great talent.
Oh, Craig Russell.
Craig Russell.
From his Sinbad graphic novel.
Oh, I like that a lot.
The image doesn't do it justice. It's 10 times more beautiful in person.
There's tentacles on there too, everybody. We have our sketchbook theme for the month is tentacles. So every time we see a tentacle in something, somebody's got to call it, and I called it first.
Okay, so. you got it.
But no, I love P. Craig Russell's stuff. I mean, and again, another guy who was just getting noticed in the, like 1970, 71. So he was around and influenced by Wrightson and Vess and Barry Windsor Smith and all those guys. I mean, just right place. There was so much creativity at that point in time in comics and people who were interested in the sequential arts that, I mean, and we still have, him making artwork that's as beautiful as this today.
See, I have this beautiful piece, and to me, I don't need another Craig Russell piece. I couldn't do any better than this in my mind.
No, I love it. I've never owned anything by him, but yeah, this is a gorgeous piece.
That's the reverse of the Infantino page where he did all the doodles and drawings.
There you go. You never know what you're going to get on the back of a page, right?
John Buscema was noted for doing that.
Yeah,
too.
Very true. And
Gary Gianni.
Wow.
One of his shadow pages.
Yeah, his style.
Those are impossible to find.
Right. no, I've always loved his work. This has to look amazing in person. I wish I
It
could
does.
like zoom in on it for everybody. I can't, but wow, yeah. Well, actually, I can. Look at that. I didn't know how to. Look at that. We can get a little closer to it. Well, without
Look at
losing
that
it.
detail.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Huh. Wow. Again, you got a good eye, Sam. Great Redstonia page. Oh, look at that. Let's see.
Oh, this is George Barr.
That's really nice.
It's a eerie or creepy page, and I got that at the last comic art sale.
Oh, really?
Yes, I sure
Man.
did.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, I was tickled to get this.
No, I mean, yeah, I love this page. This is really, really nice. Huh. I like that a lot. See, the things I don't get to shop during the sale at all. Usually I'm putting out fires or, answering support emails why things don't work. Here's a great Pratt. But sorry I wasn't zooming in on stuff before everybody. I had no idea I could do this on Google.
George told me this was from a student project that he did. He was at the School of Visual Arts.
So very wow.
Yeah, they printed it in not National Lampoon. What was it? Heavy Metal. It's called Sin Wolf.
Huh. That's fantastic. So you get a very early Pratt piece. Yeah. That's amazing.
There's another page I have from this with a big dirigible, and it's awesome.
Oh, this one here.
There it is.
Wow. His style is, I love his work. That's really nice.
I bought this from Mr. Berkey.
Why do you don't call him Mr.? Just call him by his last name. It's Moy. It's Berkey. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. You can say Mr. Berkey all you want. I don't call him. Well, no, I do. I actually do call him Mr. Berkey on the show, but I'm usually that's a hint with a hint of sarcasm when I do it.
This was the first time I met Berkey, and we hit it off instantly. He's such a fun guy and a nice man, and he sold this to me as a Kurt Swan page. Huh. And I did research. It wasn't. It's Carmine Infantino.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Swan at all, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite Infantino either, but
that was a happy surprise there,
Yeah, of course.
Oh, this is John K. Snyder II.
Yeah.
It's one of his pages, I believe, from The Prisoner. It's either The Prisoner or Dr. Jekyll. I think Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He did those classics illustrated books.
Yeah, he did.
But,
very nice. Gray
Morrow.
No, yes. Boy, I love his stuff.
From the old classics illustrated, The World Around Us.
Nice. Wow.
Isn't that great work?
Yeah. Yeah, and he's somebody I've never owned anything by. I regret that. I've got to rectify.
I think it's fairly plentiful. Fairly plentiful. You may.
Oh yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff out there. It's back to there's certain artists whose work, when I see something I like, I just figure, oh, I'll get one of these days. That's a nice one, but there are other nice ones out there, and but I've yet to ever pull the trigger.
He who hesitates is lost.
Yes, I'm learning. Still learning after all these years. And you got another Finlay. Yeah, right. This is great. Wow. You get this from Doug too?
I did.
Yeah, that's really nice. He was such a draftsman. I mean, that's just beautiful.
A genius.
Yeah, classic movie monsters right there.
Yes, that's an artist named oh God, I can't remember his first name. His last name is Cooper, and he specializes in doing these movie monster illustrations.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had a couple Kickstarter projects for his books of art, and this is a piece I purchased from him. At the Terror from Beyond Space, which was the precursor to Alien.
Interesting. Hey, because I don't recall either that the Cowan page, that title page from his first artwork. Do you remember what that was from?
It's a House of Mystery page. I have to do some House of Mystery 297.
297. Okay. There we go. Let's see. I think we got a few more pieces here. Let's see what do we got here. Starlin. Oh.
Yes, Starlin and Golden, I believe, from Detective Comics.
Or
I
Russell.
think Craig Russell may have had something to do with that too.
Uh-huh. Nice. Yeah, DC liked their apes in comics, didn't they?
They like those chimney pansies, yes.
Oh, man. Burchett piece here. Was this a Christmas gift?
Another Christmas gift.
It was. How did I know?
See, and that's what a thoughtful person he is. He knows I love the Golden Age characters, and to give me that piece in particular took some thought behind it.
Right.
But that's so
really,
Rick.
Very, very nice. Thomas Yates, Thor.
Thomas
Yates, great.
Thor, yes. That's the Ragnarok book that he did, or miniseries.
I was actually contacted by, not by Yates, but or an artist that is kind of in the same time period and style of Yates to do doing a art sale show.
Yeah, this is Yates, Pencils and Inks.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, I've always liked his work. And it's a Thor page, everybody. Everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I love Thor. So, yeah, that's a good one. Another Yates piece here. Yeah, his stuff is fantastic. Wow.
Some good stuff there.
Definitely. Frank Thorne.
Oh, another favorite of mine.
He was a character.
This is a promotional anti-drug book he did called Super Cool. So
I've not heard of that one, but I mean, it's definitely Frank Thorne work, though.
Well, I don't believe it was sold on the newsstands. It was like one of these things they would give out to kids. Keep them on the straight and narrow, or reasonable facsimile thereof.
Scared straight kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. Oh, Alan Weiss, another favorite.
Yeah, that's nice. Got this at a
show.
Oh, you got it from Berkey. Oh, okay.
Yes. Not a lot of Weiss art out there.
No.
Bill Wagon. What a unique style. Katie Keene.
No, very, very distinct. I've always liked this stuff.
He was a great marketer. You know, he had the Katie fan clubs and this and that, and he knew how to market his character.
Well, you had to self-promote one way or another, right? I mean,
that's right.
And you didn't have a lot of avenues or different ways to do it for the internet, right? You had to come up with your own fan club, PR promo stuff, give away little prints or buttons or you name it, right? I mean, so
he was good at it.
Creative. Let's see, the Chiarello and the Alvaro we saw. And there was the Camolo.
This is from a comic art sale seller.
Yeah, Giorgio Camolo. Yeah,
Giorgio Camolo. Yes, and I just love. It's called The Pharaoh's Head, and I just thought this was just so fantastic. I love his use of color and design. And
yeah, no, he's. I've got a Camolo right there.
Oh, great.
Yep. No, he's one of my favorites. He did the first Comic Art Live kind of logo thing that I put together. I've always loved his stuff. He's he's always been prompt, you know, the turnaround stuff for me. So when I needed a logo done, I had him do it. Just, you know, turned out great.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
Now this is a mystery. I hope my comic art fans can help solve for me. I bought an envelope full of drawings from Sheldon Mayer's family, and this was inside. And this looks like Ramona Fraden to me. If maybe some of the experts could tell me if this Ramona's work. Maybe he was working on a project with her, or if this is Shelley Mayer's work.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on either.
I would love some. If anybody has any ideas, please email me at CAF or on Facebook.
I mean, you could always ask Catskill Comics, you know, whether it was Ramona's work. Yeah, there you go. Stanley's asked the immortal question that we can almost cap the night at, because this was the last piece that was in the set of 80 that you had sent.
You know, Shelley Moldoff used to always tell me that Mayer used to love to take a scissors of the art and cut it up and reposition it on the page.
Before Photoshop, there were scissors. Yeah. And,
they say he said he was a demon with those scissors.
Well, Stanley asked this question much earlier, but he's asked it again here right at the end of the show. Okay. He says, has Sam acquired all his most desired pieces? I mean, are there any holes in your collection of people that maybe you didn't get the chance to pick something up at a show that you missed an opportunity, and then the opportunity didn't present itself again?
I would like a nice color David Mack piece.
Mm-hmm.
I would like a nice color Steve Rude piece. I know Steve was on the show recently.
Yeah.
And I missed out getting a nice Darwin Cook, but I hope I get something somewhere. And I'd like to get a nice Dick Sprang piece, which I think is
there was one that got away.
There was one that got away. The chances are slim to none.
Right. Yeah, those are hard to come by. Well, there you go. See, Stanley, I'm glad you re-asked that question.
I'm still collecting. I'm always looking, and see what strikes my fancy. And
well, and I think we might have a book project on the
all right. Let's definitely talk about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Rick Weld says no more quibbling over $50.
No more.
Now you won't get Mr. Berkey to stop quibbling about $50 though. But as everybody knows on Dueling Dealers, it's always $25. I got to get that extra $25 out of you. But that's why I can't say we all love him, but that's why we enjoy watching Mike in action.
He does, as they say, drive a hard bargain.
He does, but I would say Albert drives a harder bargain, because he usually doesn't, haggle at all. You either take
he doesn't drive any bargains.
Right. I mean, like right here, what's it say? I've got an Albert Moy shirt on. It says, "Don't ask, just buy it." That's Albert's motto. Don't haggle with me, because it's not going to work. But Sam, this was a lot of fun, and so when we leave, don't click the Leave Studio. We'll talk for a few minutes after the show.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on here, Bill.
No, this was a pleasure. Absolutely fun. I mean, I knew it was going to be, Sam. I mean, I loved your book, and I would encourage anybody who is a fan of pop culture, whether it's comics or a little bit in the entertainment area as well.
Covered by Joe Phillips.
Yeah.
Covered by Joe Phillips.
Covered by Joe Phillips. So I did not realize that was Joe's work. Why did I not? Oh, there it is right there. Covered by Joe Phillips. Yeah. Well, you did mention you enjoyed the show I did with Joe just recently too.
Absolutely. That shows what a big heart this hobby has. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. That without question. That was a really good show. I enjoyed it. I got their hopefully they got their checks already. I sent everything out. I sent the donation money to Jim at Hero. So yeah, I think that was a lot of fun. I'd like to do more shows like that one with Joe. And Joe, after the show, we had a nice conversation afterwards too. I think we probably will have Joe back on, if not late summer, early fall. He said that he's always finding some art laying around here or there, and he'd love to do another one with us. So
he's a terrific person.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and I'm sure we could fill another hour easily at it, but we're not going to keep people any longer here tonight. But thank you so much for doing this, Sam. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure, especially getting to hear stories from the early days of original art collecting. You're an envy to many of us for having gotten
Well,
started.
I don't know about that, but it's been fun, and I follow the golden rule. I collect what I enjoy.
There you go. And if you do that, you'll never feel disappointed by what you pay. You'll only feel disappointed by the pieces you didn't pick that you could have.
Okay.
So
That's
that's
the collection plate.
yeah. Yeah, I've got a Bill Sienkiewicz New Mutants tip jar sitting right beside me now.
Okay.
It's got $15 in it, so I've got a long way to go before I'm going to get my Bill Sienkiewicz New Mutants. But yeah, so thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. It was definitely a lot of fun, and
Thanks, folks.
if anything comes of this book project, we'll definitely let you know. So have a wonderful